Good evening. My name is Brendan Rossdale and I'm your son's year ahead here at St Michael's. And I hope you don't mind if I try. I'm going to really do my best to keep it to around 12 minutes to go through just a couple of issues around his preparation for his upcoming GCSE modules. The point I would make is that they're your son's first public exams. And I suppose, look, that's a new experience. And probably if you look back over the last 2 years, maybe your son's not as experienced as some guys who've gone into modules before in terms of exams and exam preparations. So I hope to deal with a couple of matters. I hope to deal with just you need to be organised and maybe what that should look like. I hope to look at what effective study looks like, what you should see going on when your son's at home. And maybe at the end, we'll try and kick around some other considerations, okay? So I'm going to try and dash on as quickly as I can. I hope you don't mind. So in terms of the whole idea of being organised, well, I suppose the first thing is what are you organising for? And that is the exams. As you can see here, start on the 11th of May on Wednesday. There's an LLW paper and they go on really ding dust then to, if I remember correctly, they finish on here it is here, on Tuesday the 7th of June. Now some of your sons will have 12, some of your sons will have 8 or 9 papers. So look, there's a need straight away to be organised if you think about it in terms of, right, well, what am I studying when, and just prioritise, okay? So that there's sort of a schedule and that your schedule bears a good relationship to when the exams are actually coming, okay? The other thing I would say is, well, look, so we need to organise. If we're organised in terms of their time and the schedule, we need to be organised also in terms of our content, okay? As in, we need to identify very clearly, well, what do I need to be covering? Now, your son has his exam specifications that he received earlier in the year. If he's not able to find them anymore, have no fear. You can go on to the SIA website. And for example, here, I can see we're looking at, I just took double award science and I'm going through biology here and you can see living cells, processes, biodiversity. All the time you've got content and learning outcomes, okay? On we could go through photosynthesis, the biology favorite and so on. Similarly, I think across here, look, I just chose geography, that's theme B, coastal environments. Just maybe if you would bear those two topics in mind. I'll be coming back to them later on with something else you might find useful. But look, I'm just making it clear to you that, you know, that resource is there and it would be very good to print it out. What your son might well do with that stuff, having printed it out, is a good idea or a good tip is to almost like color code it. Look at each topic, go, right, that's green, I'm really good to go on that one. Amber, I'm middling, I could do a bit of work. On red, I probably need to be working very hard independently on it. I need to be getting back to my teacher and asking some questions and maybe get some guidance and so on as you're ongoing. All right. So that's an idea. Now, similarly, probably maybe if that doesn't work, or if that's not enough, some guys, even what they would do is then, and I have just a resource here that I'm happy to share with you. They even identify the list for themselves. And you get a revision plan or topic chest list, topics to cover, and they've identified them for themselves. And it's very useful. Even that processing starts them thinking on it. Okay. And again, look, I can give the fellas any amount of those, and some of them I already have given those out. Okay. So there's that need to be organized and aware of content, and sort of probably also even have your materials organized between textbooks, notebooks, and handouts. You know, again, it's important probably get rid of the stuff that maybe isn't that necessarily that relevant, and keep this, make sure you've got the stuff well organized that is, okay? And maybe we could go into, I'll come back to environment later on. So probably what I want to go on to now quickly, and probably maybe this is the bit that you might find most beneficial of this, it's just, well, what would effective study look like? And we'll take a sort of a typical year 11 student and we'll just call him Brendy, and we'll go, well, what do you think it looks like? And I can guarantee you that Brendy's response will be, all rewriting the notes. That's what good study looks like. Or Brendy may well also respond, all reading back over, rereading the notes over and over again. You know, that's what good study looks like. And again, both of those will, on one level, you can go, yeah, there's a bit of work going on there. But probably the problem that I would state is that that's not effective study. Okay, that's not effective study. We need our study to sort of re-embed the content or knowledge that we've covered, or to re-encode it, or whatever you want to call it, in your brain. Okay. And so we need it to be active. By active, I don't mean there's any movement, whatever. I mean that we're literally doing something with the knowledge. We're processing it. We are elaborating on it. We are summarizing it. We are reducing it. We are selecting it all the time when that content has to pass through our mind and we have to make decisions with it and reduce it or whatever. That embedding, that encoding, that memorizing is going much more effectively. That's what it looks like when it's at its best. So transformative maybe is a good word. It just goes from the page in his notebook to somewhere else, and it's changed, it's reduced. So, probably, look, the most well-known example of that, I'll just share with you now, a sort of a fairly standard example of it here. You can see a mind map. And again, I can give your son hundreds of these if he so desires. And you can see, he would put your topic in the middle of it. And, you could maybe reduce what are the 9 or what are the 8, keywords there, maybe even alongside each of the keywords, maybe 1 or 2 words, and so on and so forth. And by doing that, putting that together, you're embedding that knowledge much, much better than if you write the whole thing back out. Okay. So look, mind maps are a well-known, sort of very popular, probably one. And if you've had children before, you will have also come across is flashcards. Post-it notes are fine for scribbling bits and bobs, putting them on the wall, posters, but flashcards are the other very, very popular one, and I would say just get hold of flashcards for your son, where he's got his topic and he has to probably write on one side of a flashcard, he's got to, again, cut down what's the main stuff, what's the most important stuff or whatever. And flashcards are also very useful for another technique that your son could use, which is some concept of quizzing. If you can imagine, he could write a question or a topic, and he just writes it on one side of the flashcard, and on the other side, he may well write down the key information that he needs to get down for that. Comes back to it later on. He looks on the one side and goes, all right, there's my question, right? And he sort of tries to recite back to himself, blah, 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 blah. This is what should be here. He flips over what he wrote, and then he can sort of see where he's at. Okay, so that's something that makes flashcards very popular. Look, there are other memory techniques such as acronyms. We did have a sort of a professional training crowd in Smikers about 3 weeks ago there one Wednesday, and the feedback from the lads was very good on it, that they got some very good memory ideas, even on a simple level. I remember I was chatting to one of the lads and he said this point where when they go to revise something, they always go back to the start and they end up revising probably stuff that's at the beginning of the list too often. And they don't, what about going to start in the middle? What about going to start on one of the topics that's at the end? Just small thing. That was one idea. This one, yeah, actually, that was a good point. Simple as it might sound. So, just if I could go back, I want to go back to screen sharing again. This will get rid of me, which is no bad thing, says use. To this, and just another sort of a study resource and so on. You might remember that we looked earlier at, in fact, I'll just show it to you again, the biology spec, and there you've got content, you've got learning outcomes, and I just would highlight for you as well the GCSE, the BBC Bite Size, the GCSE section. So, for example, here in combined science, I would say straight away, look, they're specific to our exam board. So we go to see a double award and we look at biology, and here we are in cells and living processes. And I hope you can see this is happening. And here you might remember I showed you earlier photosynthesis in plants. So I'll click on that. And here again, you can see content, you can see a video, and you can see a test. Okay. You might remember I also showed you geography. So I'll just go to geography again. You might remember I mentioned coastal environments. Same thing. I'll just go back to see where you can find it to begin with. So again, I'll just go, oh, sorry. Excuse me. I lost a few seconds there. So here I am on geography. Again, I go to SIA. Okay. And again, so here we are. I'll just go to understanding our natural world. The lads will know all this about river and so on. Coastal processes. I click on it again. And you can see the revision content, okay, the whole blah, blah, blah. You can see the video, you can see the test. So just finally, even to save myself coming and going again, another very useful thing that really probably most subjects will be going through that. There's no doubt that past papers are brilliant for bringing lads on in terms of technique and so on. But again, look, they're available for your son. So over here I have, I'm nearly sure if I remember correctly, I chose GCSE Agriculture and Land Use. Now, our fellows this year, you're doing Unit 1. And here at the top, you can see you can select your year. There's the paper 2019. and there's the mark scheme, and there's the paper. So it's all everything that you need. So for example, let's go just for a pure bit of crack to 2018. And there you can see there's your past paper and there's your mark scheme. And that's very useful. Okay, there's no doubt about that. You probably will be getting that through the subjects, but it's there for you anyway. All right. So the only other thing probably this all comes together maybe in the last area that I wanted to look at anyway, which is just a few other considerations. I'm sort of wary of time and I'm keeping you too long here. The other thing that Brandy would have said, this sort of imaginary year 11 student, I hope none of you have got children called Brandy, I don't think you do. This one's just, better not say that. That he would also say, this student, would be that the other thing that good study would look like, oh yeah, you put in good long shift. And actually you don't necessarily do that at all. Good revision is probably done in chunks of time. It could be 20 minutes, it could be 40 minutes, probably I would have said 30 to 40 minutes at a time is a good chunk of study. Go away after that, get outside, get a bit of fresh air, go and get something to eat, go and distract yourself, go and unwind before you come back again. And again, you'd be talking about doing that maybe 2 or 3 times in an evening around your study. So going in and just sticking your nose in a book for 3 hours is actually, again, not effective study. The best study is in chunks. Your brain just gets a break. It just sort of gets to sort of assimilate it, whatever you want to say, and it goes on from there. So just a few other considerations apart from that one. Environment for study, sort of a good quiet space and so on. Look, also I would say to parents, look, there are competing priorities at the moment. And look, sport is ongoing, for example. There may well be music, there may well be family things. There's plenty of communions and confirmations coming up throughout April into May. And look, they're all fine. They're perfectly good things. It's a good thing for your son's well-being that he has activities like that and he has distractions like that, whatever they might be. The key thing is to sort of, I would encourage that. For example, like we're off during Easter, right? Look, your son's going to have to do some revision over the Easter break, right? If he's not, things are not the way they should be. Look, let's be straight with each other here. But if he was to take off, from Good Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Easter Monday, and say, right, I'm back at it that Tuesday, a couple of hours, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe take off that Saturday before he's back. Do a wee bit on, or maybe do a wee bit on the Friday, take off the Saturday, Sunday before we're back on the Monday. I think I've got it written down here, April the 25th. Look, those things are fine. It's no bad thing. All right. Look, he does need to be getting in the hours, but if he takes breaks or he goes and does other things, that's a good thing. It's only good for his well-being. Okay. And look, how dare I patronize any of you about your son's well-being? You're well tuned into that. But I would say to you, we totally understand that it's good for his well-being that he has other things going on. The key is to balance them with his study. Okay, I could tell stories about guys who were very busy footballers and so on. I could go back a long time ago to guys. I remember, I will name a student, a fellow called Niall Bogue was a great student who I would have had, who was on a McCrory team, who was on Fermanagh Minors and so on. Yet those guys were well able to balance their sporting commitments, and it was good for them with their study commitments. The key is to do that, okay, and not sort of just let it go, let it slide. So I think I talked about that. I think I would also say, look, it is a stressful time, but again, and I'll go back to sport again, a little bit of stress is no bad thing. It increases your tension, it increases you're more focused in a strange way if you're slightly tense, okay? And again, in sport, I've often found that's no bad thing. As opposed to a fellow who's going into maybe a contest half asleep, for want of a better word, or not having tuned up to what it means and what he needs to, where he needs to be at to do well in it. Okay, that's no bad thing. It's when it gets too far, when stress becomes too much, that there's a problem. And of course, we always have to guard against that. And I would say, look, if ever anything crops up or any issue that you feel that either my form teacher yourselves need, or my form teacher or your son's form teacher or I need to know about, by all means, please contact me with it. Last point I would make sure to look just about time and so on. You might say, oh, it's late March now, what's your man on about? Look, what I would say to you is, we're off, for example, on Monday the 28th of March, if I remember correctly. We're off Friday the 15th to April the 25th. We're off May the 2nd because of a Baker Day. Look, time will disappear on us very quickly, and you'll suddenly be at the 11th of May and you'll be going, oh, we really need to get the head down now. Probably reality, look, we need to be getting the head down really from late March, very early April. We should be getting ourselves sorted now and really down to work as well. I would say that. Don't take it for granted that you'll get the ground covered, because over 11 exams, there's going to be quite a bit of content to have sorted and organised. The final point I want to make is, look, obviously we wish him well and hope that the exams go very well for him and go well for you too. And I hope that you find these things useful, and I apologise in advance for probably going over the time that I'd allocated myself, and I hope that you got something useful out of this. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.